Basically, every Sunday morning, I am now looking at Saturday Night Live to find out what the latest aspect of the controller's agenda is. Saturday Night Live has now become complete propaganda. And the show opened, its cold open, was with Alec Baldwin reprising his role as Donald Trump. And this one's about an alien invasion that they are saying is going to happen in 2018. And this little sketch is just loaded. So they start off and they bring out Trump. And it's really disrespectful. They make fun of Trump because he doesn't like the way he's being portrayed on this show. But who would? I mean, if anybody was going to be honest, the way that they are mocking him is really disrespectful. And someone who has a narcissistic personality disorder like Trump, of course the guy's going to be bummed and should be bummed. Anybody who's saying they're not is lying. And the first part is Trump starts talking about these aliens from Zorblat 9, and he talks about it in a way like he has some sort of connection with them. And one of the soldiers says, "Oh my God, does he have business ties on Zorblat 9?" And so this is, of course, in reference to the Russians and everything else that they try to pin on Trump. And by making that joke, they're exposing the fake news aspect of this, where they basically make any kind of false accusation, but it's considered legitimate because they're them and Trump is somebody else. Trump is the other guy, the bad guy, the demon. And they have given themselves permission to say whatever. And then that's not fake news, that they can just roll out all these crazy accusations. Like it's okay for them to say Trump has business ties with these imaginary invading aliens. But if Trump says something similar to that, that's fake news. So I hope people can understand this, people on the left. I've talked about this over and over. Comedy is a great way to infuse propaganda and move social trends and the culture in a bad way, and then just say, "Oh, we're just joking. Oh, it's just joking." Comedians get to say anything because we're just joking. Okay, is that some kind of rule? Is that like the 5-second rule that germs don't magically appear on that piece of food that you just dropped on the floor because it's under 5 seconds? Is that the similar rule to that, the comedian rule? That anything a comedian says is okay because they're just joking. I might get a lot of comments. People say it's satire. Oh, it's satire. Okay, it's okay then. Alex Baldwin's raping your wife. It's okay. He's dressed up as Trump and it's satire. Don't take it seriously. Have a sense of humor. All right, so it goes on from there. And then Trump says, there's been aliens here for many, many years. They have been hiding in this country for hundreds of years. And then he says, it's a fact. They're shapeshifters. And then he says, they look like regular people, but they're aliens. This is all very interesting. And then he points to Leslie Jones and says, look, there's one right there. And she says, what? I'm not an alien. And he says, yes, she is. And so is that woman next to her right there, indicating that Trump is a racist and that he's pinpointed two black women and accused them of being aliens because he must think all black people are aliens. So there's a lot to unpack here. And one of the most telling things about this, I covered this last week in a video about Saturday Night Live. The actress Octavia Spencer was in a bizarre sketch at the end of the show. Somebody sent me this link or I wouldn't have even known about it. And in this sketch, she's wearing reptilian glasses where her eyes look like that of a reptile. And so I made reference to this idea of the reptilians. And here they are not only making a follow-up video to this where they're saying Trump is going to be responsible for some sort of alien invasion. He's in cahoots with them, and he's accusing all black people of being aliens, which of course isn't true because he's never said that, and I've never heard that before said by anybody. But they themselves on back-to-back weeks have cast black women as aliens, shapeshifters. They did this last week with Octavia Spencer saying she was a reptilian, and now they're saying this with these two other women. So if anybody's being racist here, it's Saturday Night Live. And in 2 consecutive weeks, they have put out there some sort of propaganda and agenda about alien shapeshifters in the guise of really poorly written comedy sketches. A lot of people get their news from these comedians. I've talked about that already. And the way that they are saying Donald Trump is. Now, he's not a great guy. Neither was Hillary Clinton. All these people are horrible people, horrible human beings. I've talked about this so many videos. Our system rewards people for being sociopaths. Actually cover this more extensively in another narrative I did, and I'll probably release that video after this one. And what they've rolled out here with Trump is that somehow everything's going to go wrong because of how bad a person this guy is. So they're rolling out this idea with this alien invasion and everything else. They said, in an earlier sketch, now that Trump's president, it's the end of the world. I talked about the predictive programming that went along with that in terms of The Simpsons. And here they're saying Trump is going to be responsible for an alien invasion. Of course, there is also the other backstory to this, or the other story, where there's just so much conflict and we are such a divided nation. And that was going to happen whether Clinton or Trump were elected. But now they're pushing this idea, they've pushed it for quite some time, that it's the end of the world. All right, the next piece is probably the most interesting aspect to this, because the other comedian asked Trump, where did you get this information? From a very reputable source, the FBI and CIA? Of course, the CIA and the FBI are the most disreputable sources. They make their living, they are spy agencies. They make their living by putting out disinformation, by lying, by living in the shadows. And those are being held out as the paramount of truth and where we get our real news from. So just think about that for a moment. On this comedy show, they're perpetrating this incredible lie and myth. And then Alex Jones is used as a whipping boy here for the conspiracy theorists, and they say InfoWars, a radio show hosted by Alex Jones. And again, Alex Jones has been shown and displayed with his demonic-like crazy behaviors, and now they are attributing all things that come out of the so-called truth community as being a part of that. They consistently roll out this idea. But here's the kicker to all of this. Aside from taking another shot at the truth community, the aliens show up, they find out Trump is president, and then the alien goes, oh, this is going to be easy, and then they do that whole stupid live from New York. It's Saturday Night Open. Now there's a lot here, because there is a legitimate possibility based in historical evidence. I'm talking about evidence from various types of religious traditions, ancient traditions, Aboriginal cave paintings, all displaying space people, all displaying that there are various types of aliens or extraterrestrials woven into the myth and the myths and the cultures of people all around the world. And then there's the pyramids, which we don't know, even based on our modern day ability to build things, how those things were actually built. They have no idea. People have no idea. We don't have the technology to build those pyramids, various pyramids that are all around the world. I've covered this in other videos earlier. So we have a lot of evidence showing that there have been more advanced races and extraterrestrial type beings. The other thing is this idea of different types of soul type energy. When we talk about angels and demons, that there's many types of etheric beings. And this has also been documented in various cultures around the world, religious traditions, all of these things, that they're spiritual energies. And I talk about this very substantially in my book, The Choice. Because if you understand the difficulties of space travel, now there's these ideas of wormholes and all these types of things, but the amount of time it would take to get to another inhabitable planet, and there's many inhabitable planets around the universe. There's this myopic view that Earth is the only planet in this vast universe it's a very narcissistic view, very limited, two-dimensional type understanding of reality. That there is the difficulty of physically traveling from one side of the universe or from a very far away part of the universe to Earth. And then you have the difficulties of adapting to the specific climate and the specific air and all these types of things that are on the planet. This is why you don't see a lot of alien races showing up here at Earth, because space travel is difficult. And then once you get there, the type of resources and the type of beings that exist in other parts of the universe are not necessarily going to be, the conditions on Earth isn't going to be favorable to their existence. But if you take soul energy, and this is what I talk about again in my book, The Choice, quite substantially, if you transfer soul energy from one planet and you incarnate on this planet, that is just so much easier, because then you are in physical means, but you come in with intentions. And then let's say you're born as some sort of an alien. You wouldn't know that when you're a baby, when you're a toddler. You might feel it. And this is what positive and negative beings have done from various parts of the universe. There are people, human beings have different types of soul energy. Our souls are simply not the same. Our souls, the soul itself might be the same, but where it comes from and your approach to God or your approach to life, or people who have demonic or negative connections, whole races, whole planets that have gone to the dark side, can ship down a great number of souls, just like spiritually evolved beings have come down to Earth and they become spiritual leaders, spiritual masters, that teach various types of ways to connect to God. So you have really advanced souls that come down to Earth, and you have really negative souls that come down to Earth, and you have souls from all over the universe. And that's why life on Earth is very confusing, and why people have a hard time relating to each other, because the essence of who they are as a soul, as a species, is different, and their orientation to the universe, because this is a battleground planet, and that's why it's so confusing to live here. And there's substantial amount of evidence to back this up. So you understand this. Your soul can come from anywhere. Your soul can come from some other dimension, and it just has to choose a body to incarnate into. And that's all it would take. And you can have various types of, you can have an influence. Some alien race can have an influence on this planet. And there just needs to be a set of conditions. There just needs to be a way for the negative extraterrestrial or the saints or the angels to understand who they are. So this is about a person growing up on planet Earth and not feeling like this is who they are and why they're here. They don't feel connected to this planet. They don't understand. Maybe they don't feel connected to other human beings. And through a series of events and realizations and dreams and moving energy through the universe, moving information through the universe, their connections, whether they be positive beings or negative beings, their support system, their spiritual support system, would reveal to them their true nature, or at least they would understand this, and they would act in a way favorable to the governing body of beings that sent them down here. And this is completely reasonable. If you say, oh, that's crazy, but what's crazy about it? If human beings had the ability to go to other planets and take resources from those planets, wouldn't you think we would do that? I mean, based on everything you know about human beings. And if it was, look at what human beings do in terms of animal life and studying animal life. You have people that go in and study animal life and try to help the animals if they're endangered species, if we're wiping them out. So you would have higher developed beings that would come down and try to help humanity evolve. And so both of these things are possible. And the easiest possible way, the best possible way for them to do this is to send their souls to incarnate as human beings. So this is completely reasonable. And yet you see on this sketch at Saturday Night Live, they're trying to mock this thing and make it like, oh, it's some crazy conspiracy theory. Again, it's speculation, but there's evidence that's to support that alien races, that extraterrestrial races have come down to Earth before. And there's lots of evidence to support that souls from various types of planets and dimensions have incarnated here. And these are all reasonable type things to believe in. They're not so far out there like that would never happen. Because if you understand how we operate and things that we do as a species, well, think about these other more advanced races. They would be doing the exact same types of things. The good ones would be trying to help us, and the negative ones would be trying to exploit us and enslave us. Just like negative human beings are exploiting and enslaving this planet and their brothers and sisters, and good people are trying to help people connect to God and become the best possible human beings that we can become. And these are patterns of behavior that we can see within our own species, and we can translate that into how that would work in other races, more highly developed races, because these tendencies are there within all soul-bearing beings, ones who work for God and ones that work for themselves. All right, this is Paul Romano reporting from the apocalypse. Everybody have a blessed day.